Well. Back again. First podcast of 2016. Stishing and swishing here with Nick. It's Eddie. How's everything, Nick? What's been going on?
I'm good.
How are the holidays? Good?
Holidays were solid. Just spent a whole bunch of money I didn't need to spend on a laptop, so that was good.
Oh, likewise, yeah.
Yeah, so this is how Apple becomes the greatest company of all time. So here's my Apple plug. This is how Apple becomes the greatest company of all time.
It's a plug, but it's a negative plug.
It's like a negative plug, right.
It's a backhanded compliment.
So they become the greatest company of all time because they make the product that everyone needs or wants, and then it's like it just, after a certain amount of time, whether it be a number of years or whatever it may be, it somehow finds a way to crap out on you. And there's no way to fix these things, these problems. So the only solution is buy a new thing, whatever that is, a phone, a charger, a laptop. So I'm in the phase of getting screwed by Apple for a new laptop. So that's kind of like how my past 2 days have gone.
That's what happens to everyone. That same thing happened to me. I mean, how many times in this podcast have I complained about the laptop not working? You have that 4 or 5 year run where it's golden. Like you're fine
but
with your
you'll
Mac.
have these 2 years where you're feeling Gucci.
Yeah.
Like your computer works great, it whizzes, you feel like the new kid on the block.
It's
and
not
then
durable though.
The next 2 years you die a slow.
It's like an NFL running. It's like an NFL
death.
running back.
Yeah,
You're
once
falling
you
off the cliff real hard, and then that's the end of that. Yeah, I had the same thing. Luckily, I got one for Christmas, so. We are, as you can probably tell, for the lack of sound effects and the bad quality of these mics, we're back in the basement, not at the Sirius XM studios this week. We wanted to get one during the week because there's been a lot of news, frankly. So I wanted to make sure we got back in.
I didn't
give you recording
take 2
somehow.
weeks off, so 2 weeks off I think is a burden. So we needed to get something out, and I'd rather be here than nowhere.
Yeah, we work even during the holidays, so there's been a lot of news going on. So next week and many weeks after, hopefully we'll be back in the studio. As for now, we are just doing it in the basement with the new laptop, same old mic, same audio mixer. Hopefully rolling into Adobe Audition will make this sound a little bit better. I could edit it, add a couple things in, raise the levels, this and that. So any complaints we get, hopefully I could fix. So yeah, the holidays were good. I'm hoping your holidays are good.
Yeah, everything was good with you?
Yeah, like I said, now I got this laptop. Now I could rock and roll. We can get some quality podcasts out there. But a lot of sports news, and you were right for pushing us to record. I think we had to, especially in the local area. There's been a lot of stuff going on. I don't know where
it's
to
just
begin.
like it came in. There's just like the floodgates of sports news opened to this week.
Oh, big time. Tom Coughlin fired, so Giants without a head coach. Jets could win and they're in. Jets control their own destiny. The Jets needed a perfect Sunday for the Jets would be obviously to beat the Bills, and then to see the Cleveland Browns, the decimated Cleveland Browns. That organization is such shambles, and we'll get to that later on. They had to upset the Pittsburgh Steelers, your Pittsburgh Steelers. They did not upset the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was close for a while.
But even if the Steelers won, the Jets needed to lose the game.
The Jets
were winning in.
Winning in, precisely. The Jets control their own destiny. That's what you want this late in the season. Just had to go into Buffalo and beat their former coach, Rex Ryan, and they cannot get the job done. They
needless to say, they beefed.
Yeah, a lot of late interceptions by Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not sure if you want to blame him for. Look, they had a great season. They had the best offensive Jets team in history. Brandon Marshall was arguably the best receiver in the NFL this year.
And Eric Decker
not too shabby either.
Is the most consistent fantasy wide receiver of all time this year.
They had a great team. Very strange that Chris Ivory didn't get a lot of touches. He looked good in that one run. Might have been banged up. No Bilal Powell either. They suffered. They could not stop the Bills on third down. Darrell was had his worst game of his career against Sammy Hopkins. So it is what it is. They lost. Steelers won a game the Steelers should have won, and they won. And now the Steelers are in.
This is the perks of the basement, by the way.
I
don't know if this is
background
being picked
sound.
up.
See, in Sirius, we're in soundproof doors. We have the whole board. We can control our levels. We have the official mics, the official headphones. We have our sound. We can hold all the wrestling music we wanted. We record right on CDs. But now we're stuck doing this. So, I mean, look, it is what it is, guys. We have our faithful followers. They'll listen to us. We'll tweet this out. Ringing back to back right now.
Yeah, we get the phone ringing in the background. That's great
stuff.
It's
not about all the bells and whistles for us. It's about the content and about the conversation. So hopefully people just drown out the other stuff going on. But we're talking about the Jets. But the main story, I think, and it will be for a while, is the Giants letting Tom Coughlin step down. They didn't fire him. They wanted to let him step down to make it not look like they told him to. There's the door. But it's what happened. They told him that he has to leave. And I have a lot of thoughts about this, and it's because I think look, I was critical of Tom Coughlin the whole year. Last podcast we had, we talked about it.
You've always been critical of Coughlin
This
as a
season.
Giant fan.
And I have been for a couple of years now.
The thing with Coughlin is that you've always liked him, but you've always been critical of him, which is how I feel the Giant fan base is. Very critical of a guy, but at the end of the day, they love him. Yeah. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this because I don't have too much to say. I have but I feel like your opinion is the main one.
Yeah, and we'll probably be on this topic for a bit because there's a lot of different branches from this one topic. Because it's who is the next coach, what happens from here, what happened leading up to this, and what happened leading up to this year was the fact that they could not close out games. I blame that on the head coach. That's what you should. And I said this last podcast. So I don't have to get deeper into those games they gave up. Everyone knows the story. If they cut off 75 seconds, whatever it was, in the last of 5 or 6 games, the Giants' record is one of the best in the whole NFL. And that's not opinion, that's fact. They lost those games. That is what it is. They lost the games. They did not win the games in the end. So they're now out of the playoffs, and they're now home. And the Washington Redskins are the NFC East champ. The Giants' record was not good enough to be a wild card. So, the writing was on the wall. It was time for Coughlin to go. My problem with Tom Coughlin is, he's all or nothing. And it's been either you win a Super Bowl in 07 and 2011 or you're not in the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
So that's my problem with him is he did not do enough to get them to the playoffs. Now, here comes the other aspect. Why wasn't he good enough to get this team to the playoffs? Well, what's wrong with the team? What's wrong with the team is the roster, is the talent level.
The team has flaws.
Serious flaws.
Serious flaws.
And that's because Tom Coughlin's not the GM, it's Jerry Reese. Jerry Reese came in the year, they won the Super Bowl, but that was Ernie Accorsi's team. Ernie Accorsi was the guy who got us Eli Manning. Michael Strahan was there in the first Super Bowl. Those are not his guys. You want to go look at the Giants, draft history with Jerry Reese? It's not very good.
It's pretty poor found Odell Beckham. It's pretty poor.
He drafted JPP, who obviously has his issues. The next best player is probably Linval Joseph, who's now a Pro Bowler for the Vikings. Right. No longer on the team. The draft, the Giants have not found a useful player past the third round and later. It's been abysmal, and I thought that they're almost joined to the hip. And if you're going to get rid of Coughlin, you have to get rid of Reese. Because why is it fair to have the guy who coached, Well,
it's not fair to have the guy who constructed the team there, but the guy who coaches the team that was constructed gone.
Yes, a poorly constructed team, and a guy coached them almost, to a Super Bowl.
Right.
But now the guy who put the lack of talent on the roster is still allowed to fix his problems. So I have an issue with that. What I would have done is said, if you're both going to stay, you're on the hot seat. You're going to enter this year. You're going to go through August, September, October, all the way to the end of the year on the hot seat, knowing if you don't make stuff happen on that field, it's on you, and you're both gone. That's what I would have done because, one has coached them to basically nowhere except for 2 seasons, and it is 12 years he's been here, and one has gotten the benefit of a former GM, and he somehow, and again, the main parts of the team, he did sign certain players, but the main pieces were already there. Eli Manning is the main piece, and Eli Manning was not a Jerry Reese player. The best Jerry Reese player, like you said, is Odell Beckham, who's been here for 2 seasons, and both those seasons he did not make the playoffs. So I can't figure out why you want to give him another chance, because what's going to happen if you get a new coach in, whoever that may be, and we'll get to those the prospects next. What happens if you get a new coach in here and he's not coaching talented players, and that's because of Jerry Reese. It's on his shoulders. He's not picking the players you need to be on the field to win, and that's his fault. So I don't get how you could keep a guy who's I'm going to say a failed GM when you have a coach. And Tom Coughlin's a great coach. Tom Coughlin took an expansion team to deep in the playoffs multiple times. He beat an undefeated Patriots team, and he won another Pro Bowl run in 2011. The guy he can coach. Everyone knows Tom Coughlin can coach.
Right, that's not the question.
He changed his mentality with this veteran play. A lot of guys didn't like Tom Coughlin. Everyone knows that Tom Coughlin is a very, if you're Coughlin time, what is it, 5 minutes early? Yeah. It's at 7 o'clock, it really means 6:55.
You see that? You see Michael Strahan when he said that Tom Coughlin fined him for on Kelly and Michael. Michael Strahan said that Coughlin fined him $500 for being 3 minutes early.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because they didn't like each other, and Strahan and Coughlin didn't see eye to eye. And Coughlin said, "Okay, these are my veteran players. I'm going to change my attitude towards them." And not a lot of people could do that, and he did that. And I give him credit for finding, I guess, a rapport with some players to make it work, and it did work twice. So Coughlin, everyone knows, is a good coach. Jerry Reese, to me, has not really proven himself. He definitely hit the nail on the head with the Odell Beckham pick.
I just don't see the reason as to why he gets this much credit, or gets this much of a benefit of the doubt.
Reese, you mean?
Yeah,
Right.
of course, Reese. I don't know. I just feel like Coughlin deserves more of a benefit of the doubt than Reese does.
1,000%.
Because, if you're going to fire one of them, why not fire the guy who put whole
That's what I'm saying.
abysmal garbage together?
And this is not like the Giants. It's not like Coughlin was handed an all-pro team.
He was handed a horrific defense and an offense with injuries.
And
a subpar offensive line.
Where do most people have the Giants finishing going into this year in the NFC East? Third?
8-8?
Yeah.
7-9?
Finishing what? Third, above the Redskins, right?
Right.
Cowboys in first, Eagles right there, Giants. That's what most people had. No one had the Giants. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the Giants were
in there.
Basically
The
a game
Giants
for winning
were
the
in
division.
there.
The Giants had the best chance to win the NFC East out of those teams, and obviously didn't get it done. So that's my point. Why are you giving Reese, more rope to hang himself, but Coughlin, you're kind of forcing out of the door. Coughlin's a guy who can coach a team that's not that great into a good spot. And again, I said it multiple times. He cost them victories this year. Whether you want to blame McAdoo, you want to blame Eli, you want to blame Coughlin.
You want to blame anybody? It
all falls on the head coach.
Of course,
it always falls on the head coach.
I think
no matter what.
problem is just because they get a lot of crap in the media for losing in the manner in which they lose. So when you look at that and you say, "Oh wow, we lost this game in such and such a way,"
you figure they correct it, and they didn't correct. That's my problem,
right? And then that's where the onus falls on TC, and then TC gets bagged.
Yes, that's my thing.
Which is kind of how it goes.
If you lose a game like that in the week 1 versus the Cowboys, you figure, okay, week 2 we'll figure this out. Week 2 it happens again. They lose it in late seconds versus the Falcons, and then multiple times down the road with the Saints, with the Jets, with the Patriots. The Panthers game. I'm not going to count the Panthers game because they were blown out, but they found a way to win at the end. They didn't. So it's they never corrected their mistakes, and that falls on the head coach. So to get back to Reese, I just don't get why they're giving him a chance. Now, do I think they're going to get a head coach in here who's going to do a great job? Yeah, I don't think they're Giants. The Giants are not an organization to go find somebody who is a up-and-comer. They're going to find somebody who is the real deal.
The Giants
I think the worst-case scenario is to trade picks for anyone. Not even just Peyton, but Sean Payton, that is. But anyone. Because this team needs picks. Because Jerry Reese needs to find players.
Right.
If they trade a second-round pick should be a starter for the Giants.
Right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He should start for the team. The defense under Spags was one of the worst defenses ever. He's been the defensive coordinator of some really, the NFL worst defense all time. All-time bad defenses Steve Spagnuolo was the D coordinator of. That being said, he was the defensive coordinator on those amazing Giants teams. But
that rushed the quarterback and put Tom Brady on his butt.
But name the players who are on that defensive line.
Correct.
Ozzie, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan, phenomenal players.
Sure.
Jason Pierre-Paul, phenomenal players.
I'm going to back you up slightly because the Giants are an organization much like the Patriots and the Steelers and the Packers maybe.
Old respect one,
where they're not going to hire a schmo. They're not going to get some guy in here that
Some
doesn't
young
know how to coach, but
not happening.
Right. And it's not going to be a guy that they're not sure about either. You know what I mean? These organizations, they are desirous jobs. These guys want to come in to coach this program.
Yeah.
And so there's no doubt in my mind that they'll find somebody that's good. Is, in my mind, the best candidate for the job Sean Payton? Right now, at first glance, I haven't done my research on up-and-coming head coaches with no jobs or up-and-coming coordinators looking to take the next step. So right now, at first glance, I look and I say Sean Payton would be a great get for the Giants. I think he'd be a great face for an organization. I think he's young enough where he still relates to the players where TC does not necessarily anymore.
I don't disagree.
But you're right in the sense that 2 second-round picks, what Tampa traded Oakland for Gruden would not work for this Giants team.
Especially when your GM misses on picks,
and especially when the Saints need those picks too.
Yeah,
you're just making another team get
and your own conference better.
Get better, right? So, I guess you're gonna have to go out into the cornfield of coaches and try and find somebody.
And you're playing right into the point that I wanted to make is that this is I don't think this is a year where there's a plethora of coaches available.
It's not like we're Todd Bowles, a very highly touted coordinator for a while, is ready to take the next.
There's not that many, and I don't think the Giants would ever pick a guy like Todd Bowles. No offense to Todd Bowles, he did a great job with this team, great record for the Jets.
Agreed.
The Giants would never pick a player a guy like Todd Bowles.
Let me ask you an interesting question.
Yeah.
Do you think the Giants have his replacement in mind, or do you think they went into this you know what, Coughlin's gone, and we don't really have a plan afterwards? Do you think this was done sort of on the fly?
Give
Or
me
do
a
you
time,
think-
give me a time frame.
Well, I don't know.
haven't
I'm
had
just
it.
saying. I'm
Okay,
just
put it this
saying.
way, if the
I'm
Giants-
saying right now. Do you think they have?
If the Giants, this is uncanny with the phones. If the Giants beat the Panthers,
Right.
and the Giants won, and they had, the last 3 weeks, I think things started to change because if they beat the Panthers, say they won a couple games here and they were going to the playoffs, they're not thinking about it.
All I'm saying
because
is
they had the
this.
playoff
All I'm
run.
saying is, do you think they have his replacement in mind?
I think the Giants head coach will be one of, I think Ben McAdoo. I think right now I put him as one, and I'll get to that in a second. I think that Spags has a chance at it.
He
Both
definitely
coordinators.
has a shot.
I think that Adam Gase, the offensive coordinator that everyone seems to love in the NFL, has a chance. I think Josh McDaniels has a chance. I think that Brian Kelly of Notre Dame has a chance. I think Sean Payton has an outside chance because of the picks.
What about Chip Kelly?
And I think Chip Kelly is there. I don't think the Giants will ever in a million years put Chip Kelly as the head coach of this team. I don't think that because I think it's because they don't because just you know I don't agree with what the Eagles did in getting rid of him, Jeffrey Lurie, who went to BU by the way. I don't think I agree.
BU
with,
plug.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with you don't bring a guy in who has a winning record for your franchise and you can him because he wants. Because of you don't get really along with him. I think you have to deal with it.
Chip Kelly's like
Stability
Anakin
is more
Skywalker.
important. Yeah, stability is important, and I think they just don't want to deal with a guy who's very media, not media friendly, but he brings a lot of attention. The Giants hate attention, so I don't. Is Chip Kelly in the list? They got to kick the tires.
Where's Mike Shanahan on this list?
Again, I don't think he's gonna bring. I don't think he's the guy either. I think he's just out of touch with the league. And the last guy I think has a really, really outside chance, but they might make a phone call to is actually Nick Saban.
Why not? Saban attracts a lot of attention because it's Nick Saban, and he's done
Put it this way.
whole bunch at Alabama.
This is going to get really interesting if Monday night, Monday the 11th, if Nick Saban wins a national title, what else is there for Nick Saban to do?
There's nothing there for him to do
What else
except
is Nick Saban to do? Nick Saban might
go back to the NFL and
if
try
he
and
wins
do
the
it again.
championship, Nick Saban is the best college football
Of
coach
all
of all
time.
time.
Yeah.
And you can
Easily.
argue it. He won in multiple programs. You cannot argue it. He won at LSU. He won at Alabama. He's not only won at Alabama, he's dominated Alabama. He's made Alabama a force. He's made Alabama. Everyone circles that date and says we're going to need to do everything perfectly, or we're going to lose this game. He's done it without quarterbacks at Alabama. They've been awful. They have not translated to the NFL in any way, shape, or form. And he's put out some of the best players in the NFL
with
all
a
from Alabama.
dominant
There is nothing
defense
left
and
for
a
him
running
to do
game.
in college.
Right? Yeah.
Does he love to recruit? Maybe that's his
Probably.
thing. Does he get to the 18-year-olds better than he'll get to the 28-year-olds? It
Maybe.
also is very true. I think Nick Saban has a but the big but is the awful way things went down in Miami. That is a huge but.
Yeah, it is.
He did not only his bad job he did there. And I'm not going to say it's because that was a very strange time. Miami's this close to getting Drew Brees, and that whole organization would have been way different.
I've heard some funny things about Miami getting Drew Brees.
They
That
opted for Culpepper and they opted for drafting Jake Long.
Yeah.
Another thing too, that I'm not sure if it's the same time frame, but somebody wanted. I think was that when they hired Parcells and I don't know if Parcells was Brees. I could be totally wrong. I should have honestly fact checked this. We don't have a stat guy, but I know there was something where half the organization wanted Matt Ryan, half it wanted Jake Long. And not that Jake Long had a bad career. Jake Long for a time when the Dolphins was a very good left back.
However, at the end of the day, is you need a quarterback.
You need a quarterback.
Right.
Quarterback
So,
is number one most important thing. I forgot who it was tweeted recently for teams that need a head coach and other coaches looking at that franchise. The list of things they're looking for. Number one is quarterback. Number two is the ownership, and then three would be the roster, the rest of the roster. Like the roster is separate from the quarterback. And two, I meant by ownership, I meant like the control of how much you can control. Number one is quarterback, and that's what it means. That's what everything matters. So yeah, Nick Saban going to that team, and I think like Dante Culpepper was quarterback. I don't know whoever else they use. Not having a Ryan or not going after Drew Brees because they were afraid of his shoulder is a huge mistake. Because what did Drew Brees go on to do? Sign the Saints to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
So
I think the Nick Saban though, I've like I said, I haven't given this much of a thought, so I really don't have that much of an opinion. But I would think that out of
and Paul Feinbaum brought it up. The guy from ESPN.
Yes,
SEC,
glasses, bald.
Yes, old guy with glasses. He
Yeah.
did the SEC radio show, and he said that Saban would listen or something like along the lines of that. Or the Giants would give Saban a call, and I'm not against it because again, I think if he wins, by the way, I think Alabama actually is going to win versus Clemson. I I don't see why else he'd stay in college. Like, what else? I mean, maybe the only thing he hasn't done recently is maybe go to a school. And there was like the rumors of him going to Texas.
Like, would he revive a program?
Revive a program, right? And he could. And if he goes there, he's a recruiting machine alone. His name alone is a recruiting machine. I don't know how much he'll translate to the NFL. I do know that he runs everything is pro style, so that's a plus. So, and it'll be interesting to see if the next thing is, will these coaches bring him a whole new offensive scheme, because you have a guy like Ben McAdoo there, and Eli's had his 2 best seasons under Ben McAdoo. Eli's been a top 10 quarterback the past 2 years. He's been very, very good. I mean, higher than top 10. He's thrown a ton of touchdowns, and it was really the only bright spot of the Giants year was Eli.
The only bright spot, and I watched a good amount of the Giants.
Kept him in games.
Finally being home for the first year and while from BU, and Eli looked excellent at times.
He got his offense. He clicks his offense. He was running things smoothly. He's throwing the ball all over the field. The Giants abandoned. I was one thing that was calling for the Giants to do the whole entire year was to abandon the run game and pull what the Patriots do. Patriots run the ball. Well, I mean, they had injuries. They lost Lewis. They lost Blunt.
With those guys healthy, they run the ball like 10 times a game.
Max.
And throw a couple of screens here and there, and then
you throw the ball. The Giants signed Shane Vereen, who is the best pure catcher out of the backfield, and he could do so many things other running backs can't do. A short pass to running back is essentially the same thing as a running play, because you're going to have a guy spy him.
And it's almost an 100% completion rate. I mean,
if operated correctly, yes. And Eli
they're uncontested. They're uncontested catches.
Yes.
You shouldn't drop them.
That's what I was saying the whole year. So why are you running the ball with Andre Williams for 2 yards a pop when you could have Vereen come out of the backfield? So
let me bring you back here real quick.
Yeah.
Who would you want as a fan to coach this ball club? Out of your 5 or 6 guys you listed, who do you want?
That's a really good question. Well, this going into the hire, this guy has minimum of 5 years of the job. The Giants will not fire him if they're. I think I'm going to give him at least minimum of 5 years.
That's fair.
If the team is competitive, it's going to be longer. The Giants do not fire coaches very easily, and that's the way it should be. You're the Steelers. You should know of all. The Steelers have 3 coaches in the history of their franchise. It's like it went from Noel to Coward to Tomlin.
Low key, Tomlin's been with the Steelers for 10 years, and I turned around and had no idea. After Coughlin got fired, I read a stat on Twitter, and it was like, Coughlin,
it's only like Tomlin, Belichick, Marvin Lewis, and Tomlin. That's been it. Because coaches, it's just a quick turnaround, and those franchises don't do it. And who would I want? I mean, it's going to come down to a lot of things, and I'm doing this on purpose because I'm trying to filibuster because I really don't know my answer. For the sake of the team, and the sake of the team performing well, and the sake for Eli getting squeezing the last ounces of football left in Eli's 35-year-old body, Ben McAdoo makes a lot of sense because Eli is comfortable with the offense, and this is going to show us how much say Eli has within the organization. Does he have LeBron power, where he could say, "I want this guy, this guy, this guy, get them, please," or the Mariners going to make it with the help of Reese on their own? And they're going to go move picks for Sean Payton, or they're going to go throw a blank check at Saban, or Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly is a good option for the Giants. I think that's a lose-lose for me, because I think Brian Kelly can win a national championship with Notre Dame. He's very close to winning a championship with Notre Dame. In the couple years he's been there, there's been a quick turnaround. This team is no longer a joke. People take Notre Dame very seriously, and they're getting the top players. They have Jalen Smith as the number 2 player, Mel Kiper's board. Like, they're going to be for real for a long time with Brian Kelly, and he will win there. I know for a fact he will. He's come very close, and I think he's going to be an awful fit for the Giants because he's people talk about Coughlin being abrasive. Brian Kelly
invented the word abrasive. Yeah. He invented.
He's not a player's coach.
No,
he's not a player's coach.
Not at all.
And unfortunately for his offensive system, while it works in college, and Notre Dame has been doing pretty well with these mobile quarterbacks like Kaiser, and they had Malik Zaire before he got hurt, and then Everett Golson. Very mobile. It's more of a spread type thing, and Eli's running this offense.
And once again, Eli is the opposite of mobile.
Right.
This is not how it works.
Now, Eli is the franchise with Beckham. Eli Beckham, I'm going to put them together. They're the franchise. If they're firing and they're scoring 30, 35 plus points a game like they were for a lot of games, you want that to work, and then fill in the holes in the defense.
I think that if you're the Maras and Jerry Reese, there is a 0% reason why you would not ask for Eli's help in this decision. You sign the guy to an extension to eventually end his career Giant. He is the Giants. He's brought the 2 Super Bowls in. He's done the unthinkable. You have to ask his opinion.
Sure.
You have to.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you don't do it, that is the biggest slap to the face.
Because what are you going to do when you bring in a guy like Sean Payton who has his own system? You're going to bring in a Sean Payton who's going to coach it and change what Eli has to learn. Eli's going to be learning his third or fourth offense of his career.
Does the guy at 35 years old really want to?
Shaving years of his career, you have a chance right now with a guy in his prime. He's still on his quarterbacks in the NFL, kind of like goalies in hockey. Some of the best quarterbacks are all 30. Look at Breeze. Look at his brother. Look at Tom Brady. They're all guys who are older. Even Aaron Rodgers is like 31, 32.
And Ben Roethlisberger is 33.
Exactly. Yeah. Rivers too. Same draft. They're all around the same age. All your best quarterbacks in the NFL, outside of maybe Cam and Russ, are all 31 plus. So Eli's still in his prime. He's the most durable player in the NFL. Him and Odell Beckham together have been really, really good. They've been on the level of Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. They've been on a great level. So I think throwing a wrench in that is going to really screw up the team, because right now you have serious holes, like you said, on the defense. They have some serious holes in the running game, really, except for the last couple weeks with Rashard Jennings when they kind of stopped the committee and just said, you're our workhorse.
Yeah, I don't understand how that took forever either. How that just decided to take
when they had so many guys. You had the short yardage guy in Andre Williams, who's a bowling ball. You have Vereen's going to catch the ball. So they have two, and Jennings is kind of like the all-around guy.
Sometimes these decisions make no sense to me.
Well, that's cost them a lot of games they lost. And so getting back to the point, I think it's almost you're cutting off your nose to spite your face to find a new a new head coach that's going to change the offensive system when you have McAdoo working at such a high level with Eli. So for the sake of the team, and I think the sake of the Giants getting back to the playoffs, I think your best case scenario is to have McAdoo either stay as offensive coordinator, and I don't know how many coaches will be okay with that. And then plus, he's not going to be, I guess, around very long, because if the Giants have another year, not even the Giants, if Eli has another year like he does, people are going to say that's McAdoo, and people are going to want McAdoo to some team that's going to stink, next year. The Titans kept the Giants are going to find a new coach. They'll get this guy fired. Someone, one of those transfers. They're going to want.
Some team is going to have a bad season. The Jaguars bad again.
Jags don't want him. The Colts stink again. They'll have the Colts. They'll pair McAdoo with Luck or something like that. So I think that the best case scenario for the Giants right now, and if I had a pick, I would say I want McAdoo in some capacity on the team. Whether it's head coach or offensive coordinator, I don't see him as head coach. I cannot see him being offensive coordinator. If you bring in a new coach,
whoever coach is going to come in is going to want to change.
So I would want him I would want him for Eli's sake, but at the same time, I don't see Ben McAdoo as the head coach of the Giants for the next 10 plus years. I just can't see that happening.
No,
I can't see it.
No,
and I think that the next head coach might be.
You got a point.
I think it's a really tough question because it's very early on. I mean, I heard rumors about both Harbaugh brothers. I don't think Jim's going to go anywhere. I think Jim did a pretty good job with Michigan his first year. I think John won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Ravens, they had a lot of bad injuries this year. He has a franchise quarterback in Flacco. I think there's no reason for John to leave, so I don't really count that. I think the top two college candidates are Saban and Brian Kelly, and I think that the top NFL candidates are it's going to definitely be Sean Payton. I think bringing Adam Gase, who's offensive coordinator in his own right, is really stupid, because why are you going to bring another offensive guy when you have a guy who's working as well as Eli, has been in his whole career? So
I don't think you go. It will definitely be interesting, and
if he wins, I think it's going to push him more towards the NFL.
My final piece that I have to just say on this matter is that all those options you brought up have been guys that I haven't really thought about, save Sean Payton. And I don't think any of them sound like a horrible idea. Look, they all have their pros and cons, but I think at the end of the day, they're all good coaches.
Yeah.
So, you're in better hands than if you were to hire somebody unknown.
Yeah. No, I'm
at the end of the day, you have to have faith that the Giants franchise is a desirous franchise.
And what's funny, too, is the most unknown guy, maybe outside of Gase, is McAdoo. When you think about it, Spags was a head coach. Kelly's the head coach in Notre Dame. Saban was the head coach in the NFL too, and Payne won a Super Bowl with the Saints and was a former Giants coordinator back in the Parcells days. And John Fox was the defensive coordinator. So think about that stacked staff. But Jerry's not a good enough GM to give him picks out left and right, and the Giants needed starters. That second round pick will be a starter. The Giants they have trouble. They have trouble literally every position outside of quarterback. And I would not judge the running back because I think Jennings could do the jobs. You could argue receiver is their worst position. Outside of Beckham, it's pretty bad. You have Dwayne Harris, a special teams player, as your number 2, essentially, because Ruben Randall was nowhere to be found.
Right.
The Giants do not count the tight end as a position. They don't value the tight end. The Giants might as well line up with 10 guys because they do not value the tight end position. The offensive line, They drafted some guys like Weston Richburg. You had Pugh is banged up. Everyone's been banged up this whole entire year. So the offensive line obviously need to get some work done. They drafted Eric Flowers last year. He was up and down. That'll happen from a rookie left tackle. You're rushing the team's best pass rusher, so they need help there. On the defensive side, every level you go, they need help. Maybe Colin Jenkins was decent here and there. JPP, when he was back and healthy, he looked pretty good. But the lack of a working hand, really cost him like a lot of plays. When you look at it, he's trying to grab guys and grab for balls. That's going to be a great thing to say on this podcast. He's trying to grab for balls, and he missed them because he has the club. And it's crazy how many plays he was in position to make a bigger play, a strip sack.
But he can't.
And he can't. At the next level at linebacker, the linebacker is a mess. The linebacker is a total mess.
I don't even need
the Giants.
This is just not even something to get in. This is just like beating yourself.
Well, yeah. So
but
the point is, I'm showing that every level they need picks and they need players. And the Giants,
you don't think Jalen Smith would fit right in there?
I tweeted that a couple days ago. And
you don't think he'd fit right in there?
His knee injury is pretty severe. Mel Carter's number 2 player. They said now he'll slide in the draft.
He'll slide.
They say that the Jets at 20 is a great fit for him. I think the Giants at 10 would be a great fit for him. I hope that he could recover and teams could see. Everyone saw Todd Gurley get hurt and tore his ACL. Todd Gurley was the best rookie this year by far.
Todd Gurley is so nasty.
I think if teams could trust a guy getting healthy, and Jalen Smith's a freak. He's like a 6'3", 240, just freak
monster
athlete who can cover the sideline. He can cover backs and receivers. That's a lost art in the NFL too today. You don't see a lot of linebackers who could stay with receivers and tight ends, and he can put him on a guy like Gronk or those big physical tight ends. He could see right there with him. So I love Jalen Smith, and there's a bias in me speaking because I love the Notre Dame team. But I'm watching that team. I know Jalen Smith is going to be a very good NFL player, and the Giants, take him. And the Giants won't draft the linebacker. They do not value linebacker.
Yeah, right.
So I think I would hone in on a guy like Jalen Smith. I think he's gonna have a fantastic career for whatever team he goes to. And I wish him the best. I hope he recovers from that brutal loss where you lost Joey Bosa and Jalen Smith in the first quarter, the 2 best players in college. You lost. So it stinks to see that, but I hope that he does recover and the Giants actually take a good hard look at him because they need someone at that position. So trading picks this is asinine, and Jerry Reese is not a good enough GM to find his way. He does not sign players. They don't make big splash in free agency. They find guys here and there. Jerry Reese, I will give credit. He did sign Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, who was very, very good for the Giants this year, especially when Prince Mukamara was hurt. Cromartie made a ton of plays when they needed to, and he's a very solid cornerback. He played better this year than Antonio Cromartie or Joel Rivas did for the Jets, and for a whole lot less money. So I give him credit for that one. So they're not going to make the big splashes. They're not going to make these huge trades. Really, since the last big trade the Giants made was the Eli Manning move. The last big signing really was Plaxico Burress, and that didn't end well. So that kind of scared the Giants off. It's been like a decade now, but they still won't go back into that. That's just how they are. And there's just certain positions that do not value in the draft. The Giants they kind of go BPA, and I'm not against BPA. But especially in this team right now, when you any player you pick will probably work because you have so many holes.
Right now, the way it looks in the draft, any guy that they'll pick will probably have some impact one way or another, and that's what they need, right? So at the end of the day, you can't give this pick up. You can't give any picks up.
No way.
You have to just make the best decision for your football team, and if that means McAdoo stays and you keep your picks, then it means McAdoo stays and you figure it out and you see what happens in 2 years or you see what happens next year. You see if this team gets any better, if the coaching seems to be better, and then you just evaluate from there. And until you find your franchise guy, I guess that's the best patchwork fix for the whole thing.
And that's why, and my answer to your question was, was letting Ben McAdoo be a head coach to work with Eli until Eli's 40 years old, give him the next 5 years, and just keep throwing for 30 plus touchdowns every single year. And as long as your offense is really, really good, and you can find the holes in the defense and fill those in, shore up your weaknesses, that the Giants will have a real shot to stay on top of the the NFC East for a while. Because I think right now it's very vulnerable. I don't take the Redskins seriously at all. The Eagles are in shambles, and the Eagles, the Cowboys aren't really going to go anywhere because you have problems with Tony Romo's health every single year. You just can't trust that Cowboys team being very good. And I think right now the Giants with a young Odell Beckham and Eli just finally really coming to his own. This late in his career, I think they have a real shot to do some damage in the next couple of years. So why screw with your success? Keep McAdoo as the head coach. That's why I thought the best idea was to do the whole hot seat thing and keep Reese and Coughlin for one more season and say you're on the hot seat. If not, you're gone. Which kind of gives your front office a whole entire year to scan for some potential coaches, and you're also making the field a little bit wider. And this is a really weak year for coaches. You know, another funny thing too, and they're talking about this on Boomer and Card. I know
Can you tell that you
this
care
sounds-
a lot? Can
This
you
sounds
tell?
yeah, I care a whole bit because this is they're my
Football
team.
seems
It's just-
to get to me more than other sports do. Like, I take losses with the Steelers. Like, I took that Ravens loss in Week 16 so hard. And if it's the Rangers have been playing like absolute garbage lately. And so I've kind of just shrugged that all off.
It's also very early for them. I'm not really ready yet either.
And the Yankees have been pretty bad of late, and the Lakers are the worst franchise in sports. So, like, I just shrugged those losses off. But football, I seem to care about an immense amount.
It's a week by week basis, and it's that
Yup.
one game, and it keeps in your brain forever
for the rest of the week. Yeah.
And it bothers me sometimes to see things logically that other people don't. Like, these people are professional. Jerry's is a professional. He's a general manager for a New York Giants franchise,
Sure.
the New York Football Giants, and and they have the owners, and you have other people who are executives and this and that. And if they can't see that you should not trade a pick because you need those picks, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you can't see that the field for coaches is very thin this year, when there's been a lot of firings, why are you going to do it right now and keep your GM who has failed you time after time after time? So I don't get how I could see these things and other people can't. It makes me feel sometimes like they're not actually qualified for their jobs. So I look, that's where I stand. I would not have fired Coughlin without firing Reese. If you're going to keep Reese, then he's on the hot seat too because he should be gone next year if they don't see significant changes. Basically, the Giants will make the playoffs next year. I would fire Reese. That's what it comes down to. And I will not trade picks.
What do the Giants what do the Maras owe Jerry Reese? What do they owe him?
I guess because his title as general manager when they won Super Bowls. That's what it comes down to. He was the general manager when they won Super Bowls. That's what they think. They'll think he's a GM on the Giants. When you look at the Giants roster and front office list, 2007 and 2011, Jerry Reese was the general manager. I guess that's what they think. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. I just don't understand what they owe you when you haven't done a good enough job at your job.
How about this craziness? So Boomer and Carter were talking about this, I think, today, and it's just something that it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, it's also ludicrous. The best fit for the next coach of the New York Giants is Bill Belichick.
Probably.
Think about it. He was in the Giants back in the Parcells days before, with the Browns and the Jets flirtation thing, and then going to the Patriots. But think about if the Patriots in the playoffs, and very well they could do a lot of damage. They're going to get back all their guys. They could be in the Super Bowl in February for all we know. I'd probably bet on it. That being said, Brady's at the end of his career way later than Eli is. He's done enough in New England. He was with the Giants in the beginning of his career. It'd make a lot of sense to get a coach like that to come here. I would give a. So they're talking about this. Would you give
the picks up to get Belichick, but not for Peyton?
Oh, if I had to give a pick between the two, it's easily for Belichick.
Well, I'm just saying, would you give the picks up in general for Belichick?
I think that.
Well, where is your line? Like, we need these picks more than we need.
I don't think Sean Payton is worthy of picks. I don't think Sean Payton is. The Saints have been pretty bad for a long time.
They also got stripped pretty good of talent.
They did.
But no, I'm just saying. Look, if I have a chance to get Bill Belichick,
Bill Belichick is in a class of his own.
This is any franchise. If I have a chance to get Bill Belichick, I give up the picks.
Belichick's in a class of his own, but I'm not sure if I want to bring it for. It's very strange for a guy who's the villain and someone I hated for so many years, and we beat him twice. To see him now, in a way, it's him like waving the white flag and saying, "I can see I give up. I'm going to the good guys now because I can't beat you."
How do you think LSU people feel, or like Alabama people felt when Nick Saban left LSU?
Cannot walk alone in the streets of near LSU's campus because of what's going to happen. Well, he can't walk in Baton Rouge alone. They always have extra security with him because people are crazy and they hate him. I think if Belichick left, when New England
if Belichick left New England, would there be a riot?
People in New England have to realize that sooner or later Tom Brady's going to be 41, 42, and he can't play in the NFL anymore. And sooner or later, Bill Belichick's going to say, I either want to retire or we do something different. And he has total control in New England, and it's one of the best franchises in sports.
In sports, yeah.
So I don't really see the why going to the Giants is any different. I guess besides the fact that you're getting a quarterback who is in that elite level,
slightly
but a little bit younger, 5-6 years younger. Not 5-6, but about 4. So that'll be interesting. They're talking about that. And it's total speculation and obviously he would never do it. He's never in any coaching rumors ever. But for a guy who would be a great fit for the next couple of years of the Giants, it would be him. The problem for the Giants is the New England dynasty, or I'm not even a dynasty, just New England era of I guess, dominating the AFC East is really not going to change for at least the next 2 years after this year. So it's not going to happen. But, I mean, this coaching search is going to be on for, I think, quite some time. Definitely until after the Super Bowl. I have a feeling it's not going to be this.
No, I don't think they should fill this. They should not fill this vacancy.
I would wait until after
Monday.
I would wait until after Monday and see what happens with Alabama. If Nick Saban wins, you got to call him. If they make a quick decision, it's going to be with McAdoo because Eli really wants him. That'll show you how much power Eli really has with this team. But anyway, do you think we've exhausted the whole Giants talk?
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Almost 40 minutes on the Giants.
Really?
Yeah. Quickly, because we always have to mention him every podcast, the whole Johnny Manziel Vegas.
Johnny Manziel is the greatest actor of all time. Johnny Manziel should star in the next Ocean's film.
This is probably the greatest thing he's ever done.
This is by far his best work.
So he was supposed to report to the Browns facilities for the whole concussion protocol, and instead he was not there, and he put out an Instagram post with a geotag saying he was home in Cleveland.
This is the most fire thing. Like, this plan was Joker-esque.
But where he was instead was Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas with a mustache and a hooded sweatshirt with a blonde wig on in the darkest private table in the whole club. And he was caught by a couple people on Snapchat, and it's been reported. And that's where he was Saturday night instead of with the team. And then they said when he showed up Sunday, I believe they said he was very inebriated and kind of just out there. So that's what Johnny Football did that Saturday. And this is the first time
honestly kind of sounds like a better weekend than I had.
It's hilarious, and I think he's a total idiot for doing it. And I usually stick up for what he does. He's a total idiot for doing this because if you have to report, just report and get it over with. Johnny had 1 week left of like team functions because you're going to be moved. So
I mean, his future in Cleveland is literally the most over anything could ever be.
No, I don't think a player's hated a franchise more than he does.
I don't think a relationship has ever been this sour.
Yeah, I mean, even firing, they fired Mike Pettin and their GM. I don't think it's really going to change anything. I think it's more the front office not liking the ownership.
No, they hate him.
They hate him, and I think he's shown that he doesn't care what they say, and he's being an insubordinate. That could be a problem for his future because people are going to say, well, if things go bad here, what's going to happen? The one place I think where they'll cater to him is Dallas.
You have to think this. You have to think this. If Dallas isn't the first team that comes to your mind, this is everything Jerry Jones is like dreamed of. It's like this young hotshot quarterback that can make the throws. He's
run.
Proved
this year on the field that he could do it.
He's been playing pretty well.
He could do it.
And he makes the throws. He runs around. He's iconic, but also you love him or you hate him. And
very polarizing.
He's going
to want to party. He's going to want to do what he wants to do.
But playing back up to Tony Romo, is that, does it matter?
I think another quarterback up there in age. Tony Romo was 35, 36 this year. He's not, a spring chicken either. Sooner or later, they're going to hand Johnny the keys to the car. He's going to get the keys to the Ferrari. And I think learning under Tony and Tony was a guy who was kind of, Hollywood himself and, did that whole kind of thing. And now he's kind of cooled off because he got married and this and that. Not to nearly the extent of Johnny, but, I don't think it's a bad. If Johnny had to learn from a guy like Eli, they wouldn't really mesh.
They would never.
I think Tony's a little bit closer to the Johnny on the scale. So I don't think it's a terrible idea to sit under him for a year or two and learn.
I don't think any of the major QBs that you discussed, the Mannings, Rivers,
Brady.
Flacco, Roethlisberger, Brady, maybe Ben. But that's because Ben's kind of learned from his own mistakes too.
I mean, Brady's a good guy, but he's just so much exposure. He would do, kind of almost like what Manning does, but I think Brady with the whole supermodel thing and the whole modeling thing, maybe he can get to him a little bit more.
Maybe.
But Johnny's kind of
back to my point is that would any of them besides Tony be like a fit to have him?
Could
as
anyone
their understudy?
besides Tony speak to Johnny and Johnny will actually sit and listen?
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And I think if somebody can get through to him like Jerry Jones and say, hey, listen, Johnny, you're going to sit here for a year or two or until Tony gets hurt, which he inevitably does.
But I think Johnny Manziel could, I think Jerry Jones could have Johnny Manziel thrive in that environment.
Yeah.
Like by tapping into the guy who goes and sits in disguise and wears blonde wigs in Vegas, if you can tap into that slightly, you can get an exhilarating player who's capable of doing ridiculous things on a football field.
There's no way you could tell me if you give Johnny Manziel a great offensive line like they have in Dallas, with get a better running game, get another back in there to help them out, with a guy like Jason Witten and throwing to a Dez Bryant, you're not gonna tell me that he can't make plays for you.
Succeed.
I can't be convinced otherwise. I cannot be convinced. He showed us stuff with the Cleveland Browns team, throwing for 400 yards in the game, throwing 400 yards versus the Steelers, that won that division. You're not going to tell the wild card. Sorry, that you're not going to tell me that he can't perform with the Dallas Cowboys with an elite offensive line, with a great receiver, with a great tight end, a Hall of Fame tight end, with a pretty good head coach. I'll give Jason Garrett credit. He's a good head coach.
I'll give him credit finally.
You're not going to tell. Look, as crazy as the Cowboys have been under Jerry Jones, they've had some stability lately. Their problem has been on the field. That's because of the injuries in Tony Romo and such. It's not because of the staff and the front office.
They've actually you are right. They've gotten some kind of stability going on.
Yeah, they said Tony's our guy, and they've built offensive line. Garrett's their guy, and I mean, he's smart. He's smart enough. Jerry Jones and his sons, or whoever, are in charge of that team. I think Johnny could probably realize that. I think if I wish I could get into his brain and just say to him, like, hey, you could fit in this place. And I think Jerry Jones knows that. The problem I had with this, what he did was, like I said, you have 1 week left. Like, you had one
you
more
really can't stick
Sunday
it out.
to go to,
and
then you're pretty much home free.
And we smashed the Browns last. Like, we
rightfully
smashed
so.
the Browns. They
are
in our last podcast.
That Browns team is what caused
They
this.
kind of poked the bear, yeah,
because
sure.
you're forcing the kid to start to sit to reprimand him, to go send him to a rehab, this and that. Like, kid didn't need to go to rehab. He did what every other 23-year-old person does, wherever old he is.
21.
21. He's 21. No,
Yeah.
he's a little older than that. I thought he was like my age. I don't know.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
21 plus.
Whatever.
Kid who was just drafted into the NFL, won the Heisman Trophy in college, and was born with FU money, with FU Texas oil money. He was born with it. You're not going to do it to that kid, and he showed what he could do on the field. And you're going to sit him and start him and sit him and start him, and you're going to play Austin Davis, you're going to play Luke McCown, you're going to keep switching back and forth.
But the hilarious part is that they all ended up getting hurt in some facet or another, so that he had to come back and play.
But if they wanted to make a statement, you do not.
They go sign a free agent. They go sign Josh Freeman.
You put him in street clothes like Robert Griffin III. You put him in street clothes. And you go and send him to a damn rehab facility when he's not an alcoholic. The kid has a good time. He's an idiot for the scuffle with his girlfriend. He's an idiot for going to Vegas the day before the last game of the regular season where you could have been home free. Because now you create yourself another problem that people are going to say, well, we're going to look to take him in the offseason because he's definitely attractive to a lot of teams. But what happens now if the Cowboys are like, he's too much. Let's go get Griffin because Griffin went to Baylor, and Baylor, he's the home state kid. Not, Joe is Johnny. But, another person who could do things as a younger quarterback. What happens? They're going to
another guy with potential who's mobile, who's
teams
a little.
Teams think that now because of what he just did. But again, it comes back to what the Browns did because he hates them so much. He did that. He does not respect the Browns organization, and that's the problem for the next team is finding a way to make him respect you and your team. And respect the logo you wear.
It's just absolute hilarity to me.
It is.
It's hilarity that this has gone on like a comic strip. Mm-hmm. It's literally gone on like a comic strip in a newspaper where he does something stupid, idiotic, I don't know, rash, naive every week, and they find a different way to mess up his punishment or to or he finds another way to wiggle his way back in. It's hilarity. And I think the only way that this ends, the only way that any of this could ever just be blown over finally, is they have to get rid of him.
Get rid of him, and he has to go to a team that he believes in and has no problem with them.
There's
and
no other way. There is no other way that this could ever work out.
He wants to be the guy. He wants to be given control of the offense and to do what he wants. And if he respects the team, they give him that respect, I think he'll return it. But he was not getting that in Cleveland.
And at the very end of the day, we just said this, but in the right environment, I think he can succeed. In the right environment, right.
I cannot be convinced otherwise. If he put on a good team with a great, offense around, not even needs it because this year he's shown he can do it with a pretty bad surrounding cast. You put him on the Cowboys with Dez Bryant, Jason Witten, the good offensive line he has, and whatever running back you're going to give him, he'll do some things. I'll leave it at that. He'll do some things, and that's the team I want to lean towards. But like I said, who knows if this whole last mishap is going to make teams think, oh, geez, this guy isn't in sport. He will never learn.
Another thing that we kind of have to wait and see how this plays out and where Manziel goes because he's out of Cleveland. He's as good as gone out of Cleveland. I think it's another one of these things where we kind of have to see what happens in the draft and how those needs that teams have are filled accordingly. And whether or not Johnny is in any of these teams' plans, like Dallas. Do they go? They have the 4th pick, Dallas. We can't forget that.
Yeah.
Dallas could draft Paxton Lynch or Jared Goff and hand him the keys. You know, do they believe in Johnny over these kids? This kid, Jared Goff, is the real deal, by the way.
It's a very weak quarterback class. It's a
It is
very
weak.
And I'll
But
go
do
on the
they-
record and say none of these kids will be that good.
Do they trust these kids over Manziel, you know, just because of his antics and what he
If you had
does
to
off
ask
the
me,
field?
if you had to put a gun to my head and say who has a better chance of being on the Cowboys, a quarterback in this draft, or Johnny, I'm going to say Johnny. I don't think the Cowboys are going to waste a fourth pick on a quarterback when you have Romo at least for 3+ years. That being said,
Who
I think
knows?
trading a later round pick for Johnny, or even potentially signing him, they might just cut him flat out. The Browns are going to cut him flat out.
You know, or trade back, and you know what? Trade into the Ezekiel Elliott stratosphere in like 2022.
If the Cowboys trade
and
for
see what happens.
If the Cowboys make a trade for Manziel, that indicates they want him to start somewhere in the future.
Right.
That's what I mean.
I think the draft could be interesting because if you see something like a trade back or a trade up, and then you know Manziel is either cut or traded to Dallas or to another team, you know they clearly have interest.
Yeah. No.
So I think that's where is going to be the critical point in this Johnny Manziel saga is going to be what happens on draft day with the Cowboys or with any other team that may emerge as interested in him over one of these other quarterbacks.
It's a possibility that draft. I mean, we have some ways to go before we see that. Obviously, Manziel will be cut or traded. You know, whatever. Something will happen with him and the Browns before draft time. So we'll see. I still think the Cowboys have to be the team that comes to mind.
Surely.
With him, there are actually NFL games to be played soon. The NFL playoff picture. I want to go through these games quick, and then we'll wrap up this thing with any other talk we missed, game by game. We'll start the NFC first, and we'll do the Packers Redskins. To me, I mean. Look, the Packers having probably as a disappointing year as you could have for the Packers organization.
They are so lucky. They are so lucky to be where they are right now.
When oh man, what's his name? It slipped my mind. Jordy Nelson. When Jordy Nelson got hurt in the beginning of the year, people said Packers still will not skip a beat. They will go right to the NFC Championship game.
People were bugging. People were bugging.
They were very high on the Packers, and they've had one of the weirdest seasons ever. Eddie Lacy was nowhere to be found for a very long stretch of the season. Now he's
much
starting
to the demise of your fantasy.
Yeah, that did not help things. And Rodgers wasn't looking like himself a lot of the time. It was a very strange year. The defense is not always that great. They a ton of problems across the board. Somehow they were all of enough wins, and they lost. They ended up losing the division.
Hail Mary
to the
wins,
Vikings.
albeit.
Yeah. But they have a gift in the first round of the playoffs, and
I honestly think Washington is going to play some inspired football and win a game.
Really,
yeah. Nothing about Green Bay all year. I've watched Green Bay all year. Nothing about that team impresses me.
No, nothing does. Nothing does at all.
They got a gift. They got a gift from the football gods to play a weak-ish Redskins team. But I think Kirk Cousins is the real deal. Wow. I think he's going to give them lots of problems. I think Washington at home is going to win a game.
Wow. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
The thing is, the whole point of that, what I just did, was to say how badly the Packers have been in my eyes, and I'm still going to pick them over the Redskins. I don't value the Redskins whatsoever.
It's weird. It's weird what Cousins is doing.
The Skins are that pesky team that wins games they shouldn't win, but come playoff time, I'm going to trust Rodgers.
Sure, as you should, but you know what? I'm sick and tired of everyone saying this. You know, the Packers, you got to just trust the Packers, and Packers.
If you did the whole year, you got screwed. You got burned.
You know what? At the end of the day, this team's not good. Let's call it what it is. They're not good. They're inconsistent.
They're not a championship level
team. They don't get enough. They don't get enough out of their top players. And quite honestly, Aaron Rodgers has been pretty flat out horrible.
Yeah, some games he's been pretty bad. If it's not him being bad, it's Lacy being bad. If it's not Lacy being bad, it's the defense being bad. There's not been a game where they fired on all cylinders, really.
Now watch, I'll say this, then they'll play their best game and win 44-0. But I really think that the Redskins are going to edge this one out. They've been playing more consistently. Their quarterback right now at this point in time is better.
They're tough defense, especially at home.
And their defense is pretty good. At home, you don't think that fan base is going to be fired up for finally a home game, you know? So I like the Skins. Somewhere in the neighborhood of a 24-20, 27-21, like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that.
If I had to give you a score, I mean, I'm going to go. I don't think the Skins will be that much of a factor. I'm thinking it'll be like a 31-17. I think Packers. I think Packers will put a hurt on them. I just trust Rodgers in the playoffs.
It's fair.
Next NFC game, you got the Hawks and the Vikings. Vikings home. Vikings the NFC North winner.
I like the Vikings.
Wow.
Not to win, but I do like this team.
I don't.
I think they're going to get pummeled by Seattle, though.
Yeah, big time.
Because I had to preface by saying I do like this Vikings team. I like Adrian Peterson.
I like him
coming back.
more than the Redskins.
I like Peterson coming back, having a nice year. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a solid just game manager. He's not gonna kill you except for when he tosses left-handed passes.
That's the problem.
Whatever, but that's besides the point. He doesn't really kill you. Defense is solid, but Seattle is just right now. Russell Wilson is on another universe. He's in Mars, and they're gonna win by a lot of points.
Yeah, I think when you're versing a team with Teddy Bridgewater and you have the leading rusher in the NFL on your team, the defense is going to say, okay, we're going to stop 28, let Teddy Bridgewater beat us, and Teddy Bridgewater cannot beat you. That's the way it comes down to, especially this Seahawks defense. Russell Wilson, like you said, I don't have to say anything else. He's playing the best of his career.
As long as Chancellor plays.
Yeah, I mean, it'll help, but I think the defense is good enough to withstand Teddy Bridgewater.
Sure, but I think that if Chancellor plays, this could be a shutout situation.
And if it goes into a shootout type situation, I think Russ can put up the points. Oh, yeah, no.
With Chancellor, this is a shutout situation.
It's going to be. I mean, it's basically seeing how much Peterson can do with the whole entire defense is locked in on him. That's what it's going to come down to. The switch over to the AFC games, the Chiefs and Texans is the first one.
You say my boys for last?
Yeah, of course. We'll have Chiefs, Texans. Texans are home. Chiefs are the 5 seed because obviously the Broncos are the number 1 seed, so they can't win the division there. 11-5, but the Chiefs are right off 10 straight wins.
Yeah, this is an I really like the Saturday matchups way more than the Sunday matchups. I think this is gonna be a fun one. Who's at home again? Texans, right?
Texans are home. Yeah.
Don't be surprised if J.J. Watt has like 4 sacks in this game. I don't really know who to pick, though, because as a Steeler fan, there was a weird scenario where we could where the Steelers could get in and play Kansas City, which I did not want to happen. That being said,
I think that's if you won the division, if the Bengals lost out.
There was a weird scenario where the Steelers could play Kansas City, and I didn't want that to happen at all. But then again, like, I don't want to play them, but do I really trust them? It's the same way as I kind of feel about the Texans. Like, I don't want to have J.J. Watt just get this mode in his head where he's like, you know what? It's beast mode time. Here's 4 sacks, a forced fumble, and an offensive touchdown. And we lose. But I think if I had to give it to a team, I'd give it to the Chiefs.
It has to be the Chiefs.
I have to give it to the Chiefs.
Who's playing quarterback for the Texans?
Brian Hoyer?
Is he even? I think he's still hurt. I mean, it's between him or it's between. Didn't Brandon Weeden come down there and win that game for them? They're all over the place. Yates was quarterback for a bit. You have a mess, and the Chiefs have won 10 straight games without Jamal Charles. You have Alex Smith, who is the game manager of all game managers.
He is. If I say this to you all the time, I said if I had a team, I would build it on defense and have Alex Smith as my quarterback.
He's not going to do anything wrong. He's not going to throw the picks and cost you games. Jerry Macklin's getting involved finally. They're going to involve wide receiver.
They're finally throwing touchdowns to wide receivers.
And, I mean, they still have Travis Kelce, too, as a great tight end. Andy Reid might be the best coach to never win a Super Bowl in the NFL. It's an argument to be made, and I trust them. They won 10 straight. Then I don't see the Texans without a quarterback stopping. The quarterback is what matters. It's an NFL passing league. You need a quarterback. J.J. Watt is a phenomenal player. If J.J. Watt can single-handedly win this game at the defensive end position, then, I mean...
He's the MVP.
He should be. Because it's incredible to do that from where he plays on the field. To stop a whole entire team scoring points in offense, it means running the ball and passing the ball, and could somehow hold them off, just let your team score enough points. It's just incredible to do that. If he creates turnovers, I mean, wow. If he does, then I'll come back in here, eat my plate of crow, and I'll say he deserves the MVP. But I cannot see Alex Smith losing this game. I cannot see Andy Reid being outcoached and losing to a quarterback who at this point, I mean, is not, whoever's starting for them, whether it's Weeden, Hoyer or
Eddie Murphy,
anyone, or myself. He shouldn't lose to one of those a quarterback like that. So
fair.
I think the Chiefs have.
I think we're on the same page there too. But I think it'll be closer than you think.
It'd be a big disappointment. And I think the Chiefs can be a sneaky Super Bowl contender.
I seem to always think this about the Chiefs. Like, back when we were younger, they had the Trent Green Priest Holmes thing going on, and then I was like, it's Chiefs to the Super Bowl, Chiefs to the Super Bowl. And you're kind of right. They have the pieces. The pieces are there.
The problem is there's no clear-cut NFL championship elite kind of team for me. I could pick apart any team that comes across. Really, I mean, I think the Cardinals might be the best team left. But
maybe so.
That's the next round, so we'll see there. And the last matchup is the Bengals and Steelers. And The Bengals don't have Andy Dalton. They're practicing now with AJ McCarron. They're thinking that Dalton's not going to play.
AJ McCarron has already received the start. They're already going with McCarron.
Even without DeAngelo Williams,
who may play.
Yeah,
day to day, no structural damage in the ankle.
I don't know if I wouldn't even start him because I think there's no way you should lose again to AJ McCarron. This shows you how important quarterback is in the NFL. And I don't think a team with Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Marcus Wheaton, and
Heath Miller, DeAngelo Williams.
Yeah, want to add those guys in too. With Ben Roethlisberger, I cannot see you losing. I think Ben Roethlisberger just do his thing, put up the 30+ points, and say AJ McCarron come beat us. And I don't think he could do it. And that's just as simple as fact. And I think the Steelers probably have. I think I could say tie for first. I think the easiest game is Chiefs beating the Texans. And then I say then it's next either the Packers or the Steelers. But I think the Steelers probably have the second easiest game with AJ McCarron starting. That shows you how important quarterback is. And that's with the Bengals at home.
I'm the kind of person that really doesn't like these. Oh, we're gonna run all over them, and that's gonna be the end of it. And then, because knowing my luck, I have terrible luck.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing, it's superstition and stuff you're afraid to say.
Sure, but
if
do I really think this is what I think is gonna happen? And this is obviously a prediction, but I think the Steelers come out. Offense has been shaky of late. They shake off the rust. Put up 30.
I think so.
AJ McCarron doesn't score more than 20 with this team. And the Steelers, Ben takes his towel, wipes his hands, and they move on to New England.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Or they move on to Denver, I should say.
Yeah.
So
depends on who wins. Isn't the lower seed, or is that your seed? How does that work?
It's the lowest. Whoever, the one
well,
seed.
You're the 6th seed, right? Okay.
The Steelers are the 6th, so they play the 1 seed no matter what.
Gotcha.
So Ben wipes his hands, and we're on to Mile High. I think that's how it's going to go. I really think that for the Steelers, this could be a relatively easy game to win, and it should be a game that they should handle. They should handle this game.
I totally agree, and I think the Steelers with a healthy DeAngelo Williams could be the Super Bowl favorite from the AFC. That's how good I think this team could be offensively.
And defense, they've battled. They've battled.
They're not
bad. Been getting to the quarterback. They've been creating pressure. The defensive secondary is just. It's like a clown.
It's not the Cower era, but I know what you're saying.
It's a clown car adventure. However, I think the front seven of this team is really hungry.
Yeah.
They're really ready. They're young. They're quick. They get after it, and that could cause AJ McCarron to have some trouble.
I think so. I think AJ McCarron's in way over his head, and the Bengals have a lot of talent on that team, offense and defensively.
This is not to downplay
2 good running backs. They have Green.
Bengals.
They have Eifers going to play. They have a ton of talent. But asking a guy with the track record of Alabama quarterbacks who have not been that good in the NFL forever, at least since the 80s, they have not been very good. And you're asking him to make his 3rd or 4th career start, now in the playoffs, versus a team of Steelers who's been to the playoffs seemingly every single season. They've coached by Mike Tomlin, who's been in the league forever, who's won a Super Bowl. They have that pedigree, and I think when you have arguably the best dynamic duo, like a quarterback to a receiver, arguably
in football
in the NFL,
no.
I just can't see it happening. Antonio Brown's done crazy things on the field. And it's not like the other ones are slouches. Marcus Wheaton and Bryant are very, very good receivers. Bryant you could argue be number 1 on certain teams. So you have a lot of good receivers that it's going to be their hands are too full. And asking AJ McCarron to put up enough points to keep up the pace, I don't think it's feasible. So I just can't see that happening. And I wouldn't even play DeAngelo Williams. I would just say, listen, you're going to get you ready for Denver because we're going to Denver. And Denver's right now in shambles too because who you starting, Brock or Peyton? You're going to start Brock. He's shaky. Put in a rusty Peyton in, or you start off Peyton throws 2 or 3 picks, and you're asking Brock to come back and beat him. It's a lot. You're thinking about it. They have a pretty easy path, and everyone's saying, the Patriots are afraid to play him. Well, it actually kind of worked out for the Steelers in my mind to play Denver in the next week because Denver right now is in shambles with who is their quarterback.
Right.
So the Patriots at least are getting their guys back.
Right.
And then you want to play the Patriots after they got they're going to play the Chiefs. Who knows in that game? But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting ride for the Steelers because right now the Steelers have a pretty good path
to the AFC title game.
I think so.
They do.
I think they have a pretty good path to the Super Bowl, on my mind. Yeah, you're going to Denver at home. Ben's done this before, and I think
Ben did it 3 weeks ago.
And
Ben did it 3 weeks ago.
You're hitting Denver at the right time. And you're going to want a physical game. The Chiefs be a physical game versus. I don't want the Texans playing the Patriots at all. The Patriots own real estate in the Texans' brain. I do not want that happening. Let the Chiefs play because guess what? When the Chiefs played them last year, the Chiefs won that game versus the Patriots. That's when everyone said, "Okay, Patriots, their era is over."
And the Chiefs didn't win that game.
No, but they did a good job.
Stomped on Tom Brady in that game.
Yeah, it was annihilation. It was
stomped on him.
It wasn't like a close squeaking out win. It wasn't one of those games where the Patriots came
back
30-0. They took out.
It was
Brady.
30-0.
They took out Brady and put in Garoppolo. That's how bad it was. That's what happened that game. So, well, I think right now the Steelers actually have the best path to the Super Bowl 50 out of any team in these playoffs. So I'll be pretty happy with you. I hope I did not. I'll knock on wood. I hope I did not, put any curse on them. But I think if you're talking real football, and you're gonna put the best talented teams versus up against each other, not
then
just
my boys have a shot.
You're not gonna do this whole praying any given Sunday thing. I think we're looking at it like a logical person on paper. And seeing what transpired this whole entire NFL season, right now you have to say the Steelers in the AFC have a pretty good chance at doing some big things.
Who wants to play that passing attack? Yes, it's January, and yes, it's February, and it's cold, and this and that. But Ben's been there.
Used to it. Come on, playing in Pittsburgh. Just snow there all the time.
Ben will do some Bear Grill stuff and like kill an animal and rub its warm blood on his hands and be fine.
The guy's 260 pounds. Like he has enough fat on him to keep him warm. He'll be fine. It's. All I know is it's going to be fun, and I don't really, I out of all the upsets that could be, I don't see the. I mean, I guess the Steelers winning is an upset, but in my mind, I cannot.
No.
I wonder, I wonder what the spread's going to be, because I don't think with McCarron playing, you're going to trust McCarron Bengals over the Steelers. I got to check that out.
No, I mean, I think this playoffs is going to be really fun. Once the 1 and 2 seeds,
it's fun because there's
one and 2 seeds get back in. Once their buys are
there's
over
no
in
clear
2
cut
weeks,
there's no
clear-cut winner. Because, yes, the Panthers are 15-0, but they do have holes themselves.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals are an excellent ball club, but they're a little banged up, too.
They are.
And the Patriots banged up. The Broncos banged up. The Steelers, you never really know kind of what you're going to get out of them. Same with the Bengals. And so I think a team that, it's not going to shock us, but a team that could shock us and get to the Super Bowl again, the Seattle Seahawks. They seem to be clicking at the right time. Russell Wilson, like I just said, is on another planet right now in terms of efficiency and how well he's playing at quarterback. Yeah. And it's not surprising, but once again, they're a 6 seed. And could we very well see the 2 6 seeds make the Super Bowl? Steelers, Seahawks? It's interesting. And a
rematch.
Yeah.
Just to answer the Vegas question, the odds. Washington's actually, they're giving Green Bay a point. Seattle's favored. They're given. Oh, it's all changed a lot. Which one do you want to go by? We'll go by the Westgate Superbook. Let's do that. Yeah. So Green Bay, Washington. Washington -1. So they're giving Green Bay a point. Seattle's giving up 5 to Minnesota, and they're away.
So Seattle -5.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're getting Pittsburgh -3. So
really,
they're favored. They're favored. I said they'd be favored.
Nice.
They're a better team. If you had Dalton, it'd be different.
Even or maybe Cincinnati
3, I would say, and then and Kansas City's favored. So like I said, it's a lot of the away teams that look like the better options. I think every away team will win this Sunday and Saturday.
Green Bay,
Seattle, Pitt, and
Kansas City.
They're all away. I think that all the away teams will win.
It's conceivable. It's totally conceivable. I just happen. I don't know. I'm buying into the Kirk Cousins thing.
It's fine if he wins. It's not on the same level as the J.J. Watt being the MVP thing, but it's close if he does that versus Green Bay. And I'll tell you something: if Green Bay loses that game, it's a really bad season for Green Bay.
That's a huge wake up call for Green Bay.
Things need to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Besides, I get they were injured, but
things need to be shaken up. You know what? It doesn't matter. You have Randall Cobb, you have Devontae Adams, you have Richard Rodgers, who's a monster at tight end. You have Eddie Lacy, James Jones. You should be putting up numbers, irregardless of having Jordy Nelson or not. What is one injury to a wide receiver going to make or break your season if you're Green Bay?
I'm with
an MVP and a Super Bowl winner at quarterback? No. And a Super Bowl winning head coach?
That's a bad season.
Right. It's disappointing.
So there's the picture of that. We'll get back to the next picks next week. Obviously, we'll see what transpires. But I'm feeling pretty good about my picks. Feeling pretty good about all the away teams. And definitely feeling good about the Steelers. So anything else you want to cover? Or want to hit back next week and do some more? Or you want to get to missing any NBA, any Aroldis Chapman talk to the Yankees?
That Aroldis Chapman stuff. I'll give you 10 minutes on Chapman.
I have the one. This is the one question. The only thing I think we should talk about with the whole Aroldis Chapman thing. I'm not going to get into the whole the off the field dispute. Is Yankees now have Betances, Miller, and Chapman? Do you move one or do you keep one? That's the only question I want to know. Do you keep one or do you move one?
I think right now on paper they have the best bullpen potentially of all time.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. Or maybe right now it's not. It's not close.
Of all time.
Right now, what the Yankees did is they made their starters say you have to go 6 innings and we'll have you covered.
I
Worst case
do
scenario.
not do research into teams' bullpens.
The only team that I've done research into their bullpen has been Kansas City, and just to see how good Herrera, Davis, and Holland really were. But I mean, I would have to dig back pretty far to get a swing and miss bullpen, strikeout bullpen,
Top 3 in the league.
not give up runs or hits or walks bullpen than this one. It's absurd how good they really are. And it's not like you have, Herrera, Holland, and Davis were all righties. You have Miller, Chapman, Betances, righty, lefty, righty, lefty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Joe Girardi can do exactly what he wants to do, which is match up. You want to match up with Bautista.
Overuse the bullpen.
You want to match up with Bautista and Encarnacion. You got Betances. You want to match up with back in that Chris Davis. You bring Chapman, and then your ninth inning guy, you bring Miller in. Or if Miller's tired, you reverse the roles, and it just gives Girardi so much more to do with his bullpen. So to answer your question, I keep them all for now.
I'm with you on that, just because the fact that right now the weakest part of the Yankees team is probably, you could still argue, is the starting pitching.
Unless you go and get me somebody bona fide, like you can go and get me what the Blue Jays did last year to go and get Donaldson.
I mean, there was the rumors that they originally was the Fernandez rumor. I'm not sure where that stands now. And there was the rumor also with the Yankees, after they signed Chapman, was the Mets were now open to getting an extra bullpen arm, which I think makes a lot of sense with the Mets, and they'd give up one of the starters. I don't know who they'd give up. I don't see the Mets giving up DeGrom or Syndergaard for a starter we have, but maybe they're talking about a Wheeler or Matz. Is that something you think about?
No. Not now.
I agree with you.
Not now.
I agree
you can't
with you.
trust Wheeler because he's coming off what he's coming off of,
right.
And Matz is too injury.
And it's not to say
himself.
that won't be good.
And
I
this
think
is
they're going
not
to be
to say-
fine MLB players.
This is not to say that Zach Wheeler or Steven Matz or any of those Met guys are bad, because they're absolutely filthy.
Yep.
However, you are doing what you like. The second best way to build your rotation, just build it the opposite way. Just build from your back end out instead of from your front end down. And so, does it really matter if CC Sabathia kind of sucks that day and gives you 4 runs in 5 innings? No, because you could go your insane bullpen and you hold that team at 4 runs and you hope and pray your offense clicks in the last 5 innings. If you give your offense 5 innings to score 2 runs and they can't score 2 runs, then it's not on your starter, it's not on your bullpen, it's on your offense. And with this veteran leadership in this ball club, for a team that has MVP winners, World Series champions, World Series MVPs, this and that, and whatever you want to call it, name it, 40 home runs, 30 home runs, 50 double guys, someone should get a damn hit. You know what I mean? Someone get a damn hit. And so I think right now your best bet is the Yankees. Build from the back end out. See what this 3-headed monster Hydra can take you. And hope and pray for the best, because things for the Yankees are only looking up.
No, I totally agree. And they have a ton of guys they have not traded away. I mean, the trade for Chapman was kind of like, what were the Reds thinking? You traded like guys' names that are fake.
It.
Yeah,
it's a box of cashews.
Yeah, box of nuts.
That's what Cashman gave up for Chapman. Give up nothing.
And that, in a way, kind of scared me originally, because I was like, well, what does Cincinnati really think about this guy? What's going to happen?
No, they got no value for him because of this whole suspension looming thing.
Yeah.
So
that's
Cashman swooped in like the very wise sage that he is.
Yeah.
And gave peanuts and ended up getting an elephant. So, congrats to Brian Cashman, because he made a hell of a deal.
Well, do we know, will he be able to pitch? That's what.
Right, of course. Right,
that's the one thing I'm still worried about.
Sure.
But as of now, if he could pitch, I'm with you on that. I would keep him. The thing is, teams are going to be, the Marlins won't say, okay, we'll give you Fernandez for Miller straight up. The Mets are going to say, we'll give you Syndergaard for Miller straight up, or Betances. Like, I don't see that happening.
I still am very weary to give up Judge and Bird and Miller and Gardner and maybe what's the other kid? Severino. And maybe Severino for Fernandez. The kid Fernandez is filthy. Top five in the league when healthy. However, that's a lot of stuff to give up for
one entire team.
Right.
And you still can't convince me who is to say that Severino cannot be a top 1 kind of guy.
Severino's gross.
There's no way you can convince me
98 miles an hour on a
I
consistent basis. Get out of here.
I can't justify doing that until I see what the potential of Severino is. And plus, Fernandez, you never know, have the arm thing, so you never know what that. And you're trading away, and that's not even considering the other players. You don't know what Bird can become, if he can become the next Teixeira. You don't know what Judge is going to do. Judge is 6'8". outfielder with power for days.
Yeah,
You don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
So why trade the core of your up and coming franchise for a guy when you might
potential
have multiple
Yankees
guys?
outfield of Judge and Harper in the same outfield.
Yeah.
Just
I don't
makes
even
me
get into
cringe.
that, but so anyway, back to your point, is building from the back forward, and I think having a 7-8-9 guy when your worst case scenario, you're telling your starter to go 6 innings, and then 7-8-9, you are fine. We got you.
But then you do this. He comes out 6 innings. Joe Girardi walks to the top step, shakes his hand firmly, and tells him, "Go have a shower. We got this."
Yeah. 7-8-9, you're set. You have the best in the business. Doing
It's almost
7-8-9.
foolproof.
It is.
For,
So you keep all
as,
three, you have it.
As average and mediocre as some of these Yankee starters can be, it's foolproof.
And we still have Tanaka, another year after the injury is fully healthy. You're going to have Severino, gave him a cup of coffee in the league. He knows what the deal is. Now he's going to come back. You have Evaldi, who pitched very well last year and is going to come back healthy.
And
So
Evaldi's only 26 years old.
You have Big Mike showed flash last year. Pineda, we'll see what he does. You're not relying on him anymore. He's in the back end now. But so you have guys there, you have arms there. So I think they're not in a bad spot. And the next step now is to see what they do with which young gun they're gonna bring up for the lineup.
The next
and then,
the next
what,
move
and then
the
what veteran
Yankees,
guys they move.
The next that's the next move. I think the next
Is it
move.
Headley? Is it Beltran? Is it Ellsbury? Is it Gardner? Is it Teixeira? Those are huge contracts.
I think
We'll see what they're
there's
gonna do.
somebody that needs to go, and somebody's going to go sooner as opposed to later.
Yeah.
I think that the other contracts will be just ridden out. The
Sure.
Teixeiras and Beltrans and Sabathias will just be ridden out, and A-Rod, for that matter, will be ridden out, and that'll be that. And they'll have this young team with pieces, with a great bullpen, with starters who are semi-capable. And the Yankees will see where they can go from there. Look, the Royals won the World Series with a mediocre Johnny Cueto and Edison Volquez as their 1 and 2.
That's being
Sometimes.
generous because they weren't very good with the Royals. And
Not
that
very
span,
good
yeah.
at times last year. Are Johnny Cueto and Edison Volquez that much better than Masahiro Tanaka and Luis Severino?
No.
Are they that much better?
I think Tanaka showed he could be the best of all those names you said. So I think if he gets
Are they
Tanaka
that
gets back
much
to his
better?
form, Tanaka gets back to Tanaka form. Tanaka was lights out, and I think he's way better than those other guys. I think Severino showed flashes of brilliance. He could be something else in this league. So
Agreed.
I'm pretty happy with the Yankees. People are saying the sky's falling the Yankees. And all of a sudden you're looking at this team where they probably exceeded expectations last year.
and where in
and
2
you're
years
adding-
you could see this team doing some serious damage.
And that's
Yeah.
not even counting the big free agent markets that are going to come
That's
up.
coming up,
That you have
sure.
the Harvey, and you have
The Harpers,
Harper,
yeah.
and you
And
have whoever else is out there.
You
so.
name it. It's Harper, Harvey,
And guess what? And guess what?
Pollock,
Guys want to go.
Goldschmidt.
They want to
man.
go. They want to go to New York. So we'll see that. I think they're in a good spot right now, and I'm not surprised you said to keep
You tease
Chapman,
me.
Betances, and
You
Miller
tease
together.
me with that Yankee stuff. I can't wait for baseball again
Yeah,
already.
no, I mean it's something else we talk about. We're talking mostly New York sports here, and I think getting Chapman was something where everyone's going, wow, like that. We did not see that coming, and it was just a great move by Cashman, who's a guy who gets a lot more flack than he should, because I like the job Brian Cashman always does with this team.
So do I, for
So
that matter.
I think having a strong bullpen. Look, the thing is, you're not going to get a deal where you're going to win in terms of how many people you give up. You're going to have to give up a lot. You're going to have to just, rid of the farm to give up somebody. So if you have a strength, why get rid of it? We talked about the Giants winning Super Bowls a couple years back. The strength of the Giants team was the defensive line. What the Giants did, they added to it every time they could have, and they won a Super Bowl like that. So you have a strength, keep your strength.
Before you
It's simple.
sign us off here, we should.
I'm gonna
the
put our phone in the
if-
damn pool.
If the podcast ever gets so big enough to have callers and such, that should be the
Have the
ring.
ring, yeah.
That should be the
It's like
ringtone.
the Beethoven thing in the background, whatever it is. Look, hopefully next week we'll be at this series because we'll have our wrestling intros and the better mics and headsets. But hopefully this isn't as bad. We ran kind of long today. I mean, look, we had to preview the whole NFL playoffs. We had to talk about the Coughlin firing, some stuff on Aroldis Chapman and the Yankees. Next week, we'll have less NFL games and less coach firings and Jet stuff to talk about. Like I said, so we'll
And
have
more is Kawhi Leonard the best player
do
of
more
all
NBA,
time.
obviously, we'll do more NBA. We'll do some more NHL. We'll do a wrap up of college football, this college football season with the
Sounds
championship
good.
next
Yep,
week. So we'll
cool.
have that. But yeah, that's a question to think about. And all the people who listen, you have questions for us. We're gonna probably do a top 5 NBA list around that. So ask us, who we think are the best top 5. Give us your top 5. We'll debate that. Do you think Kawhi Leonard is top 2, top 3.
Coughlin is the best player of all time.
So
Forget Michael Jordan.
We'll get into that. We'll talk about, like I said, the college football wrap up and see if Nick Saban wins again or if Clemson pulls out the undefeated season. That should be a really fun game. I'm really looking forward to that. And then we'll see if I get all my away picks for the NFL wildcard weekend is right. And we'll wrap that up. So we've been so lucky lately with these podcasts. There's so much to talk about.
Once again, yeah, lots to talk about.
So hopefully it'll be a better quality back in studio. So before we sign off, here, any last words?
Here we go, Steelers.
You know what? For your sake, I'll say here we go, Steelers. So I'm going to root for the Steelers, and I'm going to root for a smart Giants decision if it comes. So thanks again. Follow us before we sign up. Follow us at Edward L. Murphy on Twitter and at DNS_podcast on Twitter. And Nick is solely at N_PICHT now.
Yes, sir.
So follow us there. We'll be tweeting out from there. Like the Facebook fan page. It's Dish and Swish and Podcast. I'm not sure what the email is. You have to email us, but there's probably easier ways to do that. So thanks again for those who listen. Sorry it's such a long podcast, but a lot of good stuff in here. A lot of that Manziel talk, a lot of that Coughlin talk. So if you're interested in the big NFL headlines, definitely listen to this one. We post it everywhere on our SoundCloud too. SoundCloud, just type in Dish and Swish and SoundCloud on Google. You'll find it. I'll post it.
Wow, you're like a pro at this. Christ.
We send it off a lot. So I try to we're still working on the iTunes. We're still working on that. We got
I got my tech friends.
We got my tech friends on. We're gonna figure out the iTunes. We're gonna try to get every platform we could possibly get. So we're gonna figure that one out. So we'll keep doing it if you guys keep listening. So once again, thanks. That's podcast 25 in the books, and we'll talk to you again